Hi campers, this is Darren with My RV Works. Today we are in Shadow Mountain RV Park, which is just up the road from Crescent Lake. Crescent Lake is a beautiful, beautiful lake up here on the Olympic Peninsula. So if you're up in this area, you do owe it to yourself to go check out this lake. It's like 300 or 600 feet deep. It's no nitrogen or something like that. There's a lot of legends behind this lake. And if we have time at the end of this video, if you want to hang out a little longer, I might just drive a couple miles up the road just to give you a nice panorama of this beautiful lake. Anyway, that's not what you're here for. Today we're working on an RV that the leveling system will not go down at all. So we're going to follow the 12 volts. If you've seen my other videos, that's how I like to roll, man. We're going to go hunting. We're going to solve the puzzle. We're going to find out where the 12 volts starts and stops. So back here we have the hydraulic leveling system. Now there's two sides to this, and I'm going to bring the camera in and show you. One side of it is all the battery side, the other side is the hydraulic side. I've had customers send me pictures, and what they're sending me pictures of is not hydraulic, it's something else. So we're going to do a little bit of orientation when we get into here. So it's real simple. Where's the 12 volts? This whole system works on 12 volts. Is it getting the 12 volts that it needs? So we're going to look at fuses, we're going to look at all these types of things. So let me bring the camera a little bit closer and show you what we're doing, and we'll begin the journey of 12 volts. Okay, so everything on this side is battery. Everything on this side is the hydraulic. So you don't want to get confused a little bit. And it sounds stupid to say that, but I have had some customers that look in here, they get like, oh, what is this? And they start messing with stuff, and that's the battery side, that's the converter side, hydraulic side. So let's go look for 12 volts. Okay, where I like to start my hunt, if you will, there's two parts to this. There's the power side and the control side. So I got to make a decision which path I'm going to take. So I'm going to start with the power side. And here's the back of the motor. Okay, so let's just find the main lug that feeds 12 volts to this motor. We know we could take our jump box and test this theory by putting 12 volts directly at that lug and grounding the other end of our jump box, and that'll tell us if the motor works. Okay. I don't want to do that yet, but I do want to. So where do I start my trail? I want to start it on that lug, and at that lug, I think what I might do. Hold on, I'm going to move the camera around. I'm going to stick the camera up in that hole right there. Okay, so we see the lug. I'm not going to be able to point with my fingers, so I'm going to try to explain. That's the back of the motor. That big screw on the right is the lug, but just beyond that, you can actually see that bronze screw. That's going to the motor. Okay, so that big black thing right there is a solenoid. Let me do it this way. Okay, well, look at me. Okay, that's the solenoid. This bolt and that bolt are the ones that are connected. So I expect to have 12 volts on this wire right here at all times when the engine's on. Okay, so when the engine is on, I want to see 12 volts on that wire. And then that's the power side. Now the control side is going to energize the solenoid, allowing this big 12 volt wire to pass through to that screw up there, feeding my motor. Does all that make sense? Now let's follow this guy. So now we're on the trail. We started there. We're going to go through the solenoid. Now we can test our solenoid because that's the control side of our circuit. So we're going to test our solenoid. We just bump it with 12 volts and it should energize. But I'm on the big 12 volt. I want to prove where my 12 volts is first, right? Because we have to make some decisions as we do some troubleshooting. Now, I want to show you something. Rotate with me here. I'm following this big wire. And what I want to show you here, hold on, let me put my whole arm up in there. There we go. So that's where this wire goes. I'm going to show you something. That thing is very loose. I don't know if you're able to see that. Anyway, see that? That's very, very, very loose. So right out of the gate, if I'm following this trail, let me pull you back out of that hole there. You were just up in there. So that junction, right out of the gate, that screw right there, we have a loose screw, don't we? And we know from my other videos that a loose screw is going to cause resistance and heat. So we're going to tighten that screw. And I do not have 12 volts at that point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go turn on the engine ignition to see if there's another solenoid on the chassis or something that's energizing that 12 volts, because I need to get 12 volts to that point, don't I? So that I can follow it through this wire and energize that the primary side of the solenoid so that the secondary side of the solenoid can energize my motor. Does that make sense? So step one, we need to get 12 volts to that lug right there, and that thing's loose. So I'm going to tighten that first, and then I'm going to go turn the key on to see if turning the key on energizes that. Make sense? Good. Okay, we got that bolt tightened with some 9/16 action, and he's nice and tight. Now, while I was in there, I looked at something. I'm going to show you this. That should be coming out straight, so my eye caught that. And when I looked a little closer, I gotta get a light for this camera. Sorry, guys. Look at how there's discoloration down here. In here, there's discoloration. Looks like that got really hot, and if you look, there's some melting going on with that wire there, and maybe even that one as well. Let me get my there. So that's supposed to be a copper wire, and that looks like he melted because he's bent. And then this fitting here, I was playing with it and it's loose. So this isn't the trail that I was on. I don't know if my wires lead here because I got to that bolt. I found that the bolt was loose. We tightened the bolt, and then I saw this. So is this the same trail, or is this a tangential trail or a separate trail? Are these problems related, or is this another problem? So let's find out. Okay, folks, here's where we are now. Follow with me on this. I've decided to camp out on this problem right here because it doesn't look healthy. And before I go on in the trail, that is part of the trail I want to clean up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our meter in 12 volts DC. Now watch with me on this. I'm going to touch, okay, you watch that. I'm touching the battery plus. So now I've got 14.2. 14.2 tells me my alternator is charging my battery right now. Because the converter is not going to put out 14.2, so therefore this coach must have a isolation relay. We'll get into all that later. Okay. So 14 volts. Let me show you where I'm at. I'm touching the positive post of the battery. Now let's go up to our friend up here. If I can. Okay, so you see where I'm touching the top post. What does a battery, or what does a meter say down there? 14.2. Therefore, it is a true statement that this top wire is connected to the positive of the battery. Let's go to the bottom down here. So you see I went to the bottom lug. What's the meter say? 0. Okay, so the meter says 0. But I want to show you something else. I'm using that as a known good ground. I'm going to put the meter in the continuity beep mode. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Therefore, when I touch the frame or ground, I'm getting a beep. You hear that? Right there. You're not focused, but sorry about that. Now, so we know that we've got no resistance on the ground. Who wants to guess what I'm about to do? I keep bumping my head. I'm so hard-headed, I'm going to dent the customer's RV here. So I'm going to touch this bottom one. Who wants to guess? Oh, now it's making a liar. Just a few minutes ago, this thing was beeping. And I thought I had it. Well, just moments ago, folks, when I did this test, this guy right here was a dead short to ground. I got a beep, as if I'm touching my 2 meters together using ground. Now I don't have the beep. In fact, I'm looking over here at my meter and it's open. So, but there was a beep. Therefore, this wire here, which I don't know where it goes, and you can even see he's loose. I mean, I should not be able to wiggle that. Can you see that? I'm wiggling the casing here, and it's wiggling inside. That should not happen. So this guy got really hot. You can even see a little bit of meltage right there. So I don't know why he's not beeping right now, but he was. Because he was shorted to ground, there was some melting going on, and I suspect this. So I'm going to take that part number right there. This might be one of those services where before we can continue on the trail, we got to fix this problem. Okay, there's our part number. So I might want to fix this problem first, and that might either fix the whole thing or reveal the rest of it. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying. Well, Darren, you can't just swap a part on because what if? And this is a good what if. Well, great, let's just put a new part on.
Well, but we never fix the problem. We never fix a problem. This wire might be shorted to ground, or maybe it's this wire, right? See how there's a red one and this big one right here? And we're coming down here. This is a circuit breaker fuse. They reset themselves. Some of these you got to watch out for. These little trap doors on the top or bottom. You push them in to reset them. Sometimes they reset themselves. There we go. And but sometimes there's a little trap door you got to push. So is this wire shorted to ground, or is this wire shorted to ground? I know I heard a beep, and we see the signature of heat. So I'm going to go farther, but we got battery voltage here, no battery voltage here. Therefore, this guy's not switching. Now, full disclosure, I don't know what the control circuit is that causes him to switch. That would be these wires down here. Okay, I was talking earlier about a power side and a control side. So this would be your power side. This would be your control side. So this little bitty baby wires are controlling these really big wires, okay? That's how a relay works. So in this case, it would be called like a solenoid or contactor, depending on the voltage and the current that it's rated for determines if it's a relay. Well, then you can go all the way down to transistors, but okay. I'm gonna keep going to try to figure out where the offending wire is. So that's where we're at now. Okay, I found out what happened. I bumped this one and he fell off my ground. And so now when I touch, we get the beep, okay? And if I look over here, let me move my arm around. See that? What does that say? 0. So this bottom wire is a dead short to ground. We have to find out where he's grounded at. Is it this side or this side? So I'm going to take this bolt off right here, and I'm going to see, am I going to get a beep on this guy, or am I going to get a beep on this guy? And that'll tell me which path to take. Make sense? So let's take that bolt off. Okay, I moved my ground to a safer place. How about the battery itself? Now, the ground fault could be one of 3 places. It could be the vise, this little wire, the big wire. Let's try here first. I get no beep. Let me move my meter up so you can hear it better when it does fault. There we go. Oh, come on. Let's put it right there. Okay, we're just listening for the beep. Now, I don't just go by beep. If it's going to beep, I want to look at the number. So I'm touching there. Nothing. I'm touching there. Yep, there it is. Okay, so this big wire has a problem. Okay, and so the good news is we found. Okay, so now we have a problem here. That's the good news. And in here you could see how melty he got. It's even, there it is, not out of the shot. He's purple. The good news is, yay, the bad news is he goes in that big loom back there. And I hate when they go in loom because then you lose the trail becomes obscured because of the loom. So I'm gonna figure out where he goes. I have a suspicion. I'm thinking he might go to the battery down here, and I'm thinking that when they put these batteries on, they may have put the lead on the wrong. And the reason I say that is because isn't this about the same gauge as these wires down here? So I'm going to see that. I'm going to check him out. This might be a negative lead on my battery, right? And this is a plus. So I wonder if he was supposed to be plus. So let me see, because that big loom, I don't know if you can see it. I can see it, but that big loom goes around and comes to me right there. So is it possible that they hooked up the battery leads wrong? Let's find out. Okay, I just confirmed my suspicion. You see let me switch hands here. So that's the wire we've been working with that we had shorted out. This one was connected to the negative on the battery post right there. So I've done my continuity test. It is the same wire, and so that's a no-no, because we know that up here, right there, we had 14 volts coming from the engine, and then the bottom one was directly connected to the engine, the battery negative, which explains the meltage. Now, again, we were on the trail way back there, that bolt way in the back, and then that led us to this, and now we've figured out this little problem. So let's try to sort out this problem. Now, this certainly needs to go to plus. But where's the negative from the battery supposed to be? So now we have to figure that part out. So we still have a little bit more figuring to do, but we're starting to unravel this yarn of, let's see, ball of yarn, whatever. Okay, carrying on. The question before us now is if the batteries, okay, the way the batteries were connected on the negative side, they were negative to negative, and then one of the wires went into that loom, and we found that wire. We just found it. Now, so how do we know which negative goes to the battery? Okay, so I've been rooting around underneath the coach, and if you look up there, let me get an arm here. There we go. If you look up there, right up there, that is where that big wire coming off the side here that's in the shadow, that is the negative to those batteries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect that one, and then again, continuity test. I'm going to connect one end of my meter to this wire, and then I'm going to go to the other wires and find out which one is the one that's going to beep for me. Okay, so where we are here is just underneath. We were on that side. This is the hole we stuck in earlier, and I've been working through the other side of that. So following the wires leads me, I'm in the dark, leads me to there. So we'll take that big battery negative off. Okay. Okay, now here's what we found. This was the one that was connected to the battery negative. And there we go. He's down there, he's zero resistance. So now I am convinced, I've convinced myself. Now let me be clear, I thought this was the same wire as that guy right there, but I just proved that it is not. That this wire, let me come back out here. This wire is in fact the frame ground for the batteries. And this one back here, he's still got issues. But originally, remember I was getting a continuity beep between this one and this one. But now that I've taken the ground off, now that I've taken this guy off, and so he stopped beeping, okay? So this wire here that I'm pointing to is still touching the frame somewhere, okay? So these two wires are not the same, so we need to find out where that wire goes, okay? Okay, it's time for another groovy meter demonstration. So we need to know it's this wire here that we're suspicious about. Now, this wire here is the one that was connected up there. So we've got this meter here. What does that thing say? TS90. And the black lead is connected to frame. So isn't it well, whatever you do, don't drop it. Isn't it a true statement that this wire is touching the frame somewhere? I would agree that that's a true statement. Now, let me find where my meter just fell. Let me hook this thing back up again, and I'll explain what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so what we have here, if you follow the black lead I've connected to the ground, and the red lead I've connected to our wire that's giving us grief. And I'm going to push this button. It's going to tell me the problem is 41 feet away from here. Okay, that wire is touching the frame 41 feet from here. The fact that the meter is beeping is telling me that it's dead short. So our problem is not here, our problem is 41 feet from here. So we're going to go to the front of the coach, which is about 41 feet from here, see if we can't find the problem. Okay. Now, because this wire was shorted and we had some heat signatures on this side, we might see some heat signatures at the other side as well. But because I got 41 feet beeping, the problem is 41 feet from here. That's what I wanted to show you. Well, not 41 feet the way the crow flies, 41 feet the way the wire travels. Okay, so I love this meter. It's not the cheapest thing in the cart, but didn't this just save me a tremendous amount of time troubleshooting where this wire might be melted? Let's see if it's earned its keep, and let's go look at the other end of the coach. Okay, folks, so we've found another little hideout for this thing. So we've pulled the batteries out, and I want to show you, see, right in here. Now, they've got some jelly on this one, but this jelly is cooked off. And I want to show you, look how loose that fitting is right there. Very, very loose. And if we get closer, it's been hot as well. So what we're going to do is get a little deeper into this thing, but I just want to, this side's tight. Okay, I'm trying to move him. He's tight. This one's very, very loose. And looks like these were nylon nuts, and the nylon has melted out of this guy. So wherever this short is, it's showing up in different places, but we've got it here now. So hopefully we'll fix a short, and then that'll fix the leveling jack, because that's what we were originally working on, was a leveling jack.
Okay, folks, so follow with me on this. This is a fuse, okay? And he was connected between that bridge right there. And this guy was in fact melted. Now here you can see that nylon. Let me focus there. Focus, please. Anyway, it's a melted nylon nut. So, now follow with me on this. This wire was connected to here, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, where does this other wire go? So I pulled it, and look, it's a loose wire that is not connected to anything. And if you look at the end, it's got arcing marks, like it was really hot, okay? Now, what I want to do now, I'm going to have the customer help me here. I've got my jumper cables. Okay, so the other end of my black lead on my jumper cables is connected to a known good ground on the frame, okay? Now, this right here was just flapping around in the back there. We saw heat right here. So we're connected to a known good ground. Therefore, that wire right there was grounded, correct? Okay, so we're correct. Connected that. Now, I'm going to head back here. Okay, so, okay, my meter is here. Let me move my meter so we can hear it. Okay, the meter's going to go there. That's a known good ground right there. That's the same ground we used when the thing told us we were 41 feet away from our problem. So now I'm going to touch this. The wire I'm touching is the one that is connected to that. So I'm going to touch this ground right there. You hear the beeping? Okay, Denny, disconnect. Okay. It is disconnected and it shut its mouth. Therefore, isn't it a true statement that we just found where this wire is shorted to ground? And if we were to go inside that wire and take a little meter on it, then we would probably get about 41 feet of distance between here and there. So now we found the short. Now let's go back to the other end. Let me disconnect my meter there. Okay, and let's go back to the other end and see what we're going to do at that end. Okay, so at the end of the day, at the end of the trail, we were seeing these heat signatures all over the place in the back. With the first thing that started, if you remember, we found those loose screws about 2 hours ago. We tightened those screws, and in the process of tightening those screws, hey, we found that solenoid that was kind of melted. And then when we discovered that, we started to follow that. We troubleshot this whole thing. This other meter told us 41 feet away. That brought us up to here. We found melting here, and then this wire here has just been forgotten about. So what we're going to do is we're going to take him off. The engine, everything works fine, except for this. So we're going to just take this off, and we're going to land this guy right back on there. But this guy will just be dead in the water, if you will. We're going to orphan this cable. Perhaps there may have been another battery here at one time, but we don't know. No other battery? Yep, no other battery. So we're not exactly sure what this wire goes to, but everything seems to be working. So I think what we might do, this is Jayco unit, so we might call Jayco and just say, guys at Jayco, what's going on with this other wire? And then we can know for sure. Here in the field, we don't have schematics at that level, and the internet's not that great. So we'll button this whole thing up. Okay, folks, we're at the end of the trail. I want you to hear a wonderful sound. Fire in the hole! Isn't that great? So at the end of the day, now let me show you how I'm doing that. That solenoid that I showed you in here that was all melted, well, we're bypassing it with a set of jumper cables, okay? So I've got one set of jumper cables on one side of that big wire, and the other set of jumper cables on the other wire that was the one that was grounded, that was shorted, that we found that way up front. And so I've clamped them inside here, okay? And then, so now I have made that connection this way, okay? So that melty solenoid thing in there, that was the problem, but we couldn't fix it because we had to find the ground. So what did we do? We followed the trail of 12 volts. It led us all over the place. Okay, that's fine. Okay, talking with the customer. She's going to retract them and put them back down again. And we can because we're set up here. And there may be some other issues that will now unravel as we start to exercise this. But we started the video off because the jacks did not work, and now they are working, okay? But that might, let me be crushed here, that might reveal some other problems as we go. Let me get clear of everything. If you found this helpful, if you found it, thank me by giving me a thumb up on it. Subscribe to our channel if you like these videos.
because I'm always coming out with them. I do mobile RV service, and we're doing it all over the place throughout the Olympic and the Kitsap Peninsulas in Washington State. When I make more videos, if you subscribe, you'll get it. It'll make it a lot easier to find our channel. And so I'm gonna finish off. Now, I do plan on doing a little bit of a bonus for you. So if you've hung with me this far, I'm kind of dirty and everything. The sun's still up.
Right,
And
I'm gonna put these, I think it's the gravel is weird.
okay, we're gonna put some pads underneath the jacks. So when we're done with all this, what we're gonna do is, if you've hung with me, I've got a little bit of a bonus feature for you. I'll take you down here to Crescent Lake. We'll show you some of the pretty water, some of the mountains and everything, and we'll finish it up there. But if you want to say goodbye now, that's fine. So give me a thumb up and subscribe to our channel. Share it with some folks. Hopefully you found value in this. And if you hang with me a little bit longer, we'll take you down to see the lake. Okay, so see you next time. Welcome to the bonus feature. So, what we've got here is Crescent Lake. And I don't know all the math on it, but it's very deep. I have heard that our United States Navy has tried to figure out the depth, and I've heard everywhere from 300 feet to 600 feet. And then I've heard that no one knows how deep it is, so who knows what you want to believe. We're driving right into the sun, but it's interesting. There was a legend, I don't know if it's true or not. You could go to Wikipedia and there's an article, but apparently a body floated up from the depths, and it was all like bleached white, if you will, as if the body had been down there for many, many years, and it never decayed. And I will say that this water is a little bit warmer than the other water around here. We'll go kayaking and we'll play in this. So I'm gonna get up here to a little bit of a pull-off, because I know we're driving into the sun and you don't need to hear me yapping. Let's spend our time looking at this lake. So I'm gonna get up here to a pull-off and I'll show you what I see. The sun's not gonna agree with me because it's reflecting off the water, but if we go this way, it just looks like any other lake. But I'm telling you folks, this is really beautiful. Crystal clear water all the way down. We'll be in our kayaks and you can see probably 30 feet down, and then all of a sudden it just drops into this abyss. The water color turns darker. Let me show you the other side of this area here. What I'll do is a slow pan until we lose it in the sun. I just want to capture, I remember the first time I came out here and saw this lake, I was just overwhelmed. It was like so cool, so beautiful. The water so crystal clear. I had to learn more about it. And so it's fun that we have service calls out this way, because I get to drive this fun, let me go out that way, this fun twisty turny road that they just spent all this money resurfacing. So anyway, I don't know how much farther I want to drive down this road, so my idea was to somehow capture how nice this was, but I'm realizing that all you're doing is just looking at me filming a lake, and that's kind of silly. This Storm King Ranger Station area here, you can walk to a waterfall. It's an easy walk. It's not that exciting. It's not like Multnomah Falls or something we have down in Oregon, but it's a nice little hike, easy hike. The last little bit's a little steep, nothing major. If you're in relatively decent shape, you shouldn't have any problem with it. It's a nice waterfall, not a huge major waterfall, but it's a nice easy walk. And so basically, I think we're done. Thank you for watching. I was hoping that this video might be a little bit more exciting, but I don't know. Let me go over there with you. And so anyway, I got nothing. I'm all done. So now we're in the trees. So thanks for watching. And if you like these bonus features, I've done one before on a World War II bunker. And if you like these little bonus features, let me know and I'll do more of them, because we are in a really beautiful place. But if you find them boring, then that's why I stick them at the end. And now I'm just rambling. So, all right, well, I'm going to get turned around here and go home and get dinner. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing to help my channel grow. It's kind of exciting to see it grow. I never expected anything
The plan is not to monetize it and make $1 million. I just really want to sow into you guys and help you in a way I can. So there you go. So let me get turned around. Anyway, all right, I'm going to sign off. So there's your bonus feature. All right, see you on the next one. Bye now.